Hey, what's poppin', everybody? Let's go ahead and get to the recap of our Monday, December 5th video. Did not make a video yesterday. Had a 10-hour shift yesterday. Got called in super early, so I wasn't able to put a slip together in time before I had to have to work. So with that being said, let's go ahead and recap that December 5th slip because it was a loser again. We had the lock of the day was Devin Booker over 30.5 or 35.5 points and assists. It went down to 35.5 by the end of the day. Not sure why. It didn't end up mattering anyway because he didn't get anywhere close. They got boat raced by the Mavs. Mavs came out just firing, and just from the opening tip, it was over. He had a bunch of assists early, but only finished with like 11 points. I think he started like 0 for 7 from the field or something like that. Just they got blown out, and that happens sometimes in basketball. They just get blown out, and it doesn't come anywhere close. So not even a whiff of it there for Devin Booker. And then the other play was Tim Hardaway Jr. from the video. Under 16.5 points, finishes with 17. Hits 5 threes. He had 29 again last night. Did Tim Hardaway Jr. So. He's just apparently playing the best basketball of his career right now. It is Tim Hardaway Jr., so he's balling out of his mind. Again, he hit 5 threes in that game from Tim Hardaway Jr. versus Suns. Obviously, they blew him out with threes. Tim Hardaway Jr. hit 5 of them. It's the most threes they've given up this year to a small forward. The game might take the small forward that they play. So Tim Hardaway Jr. did end up going just over by that hook. And then our last play that we added by the end of the day was just waiting for the line, was Jimmy Butler over 25.5 points and rebounds. After the first quarter, he was the only starter on the entire lineup that didn't score a point in the first quarter. And then just didn't get buckets by the rest of the game. Tyler Hero took on a pretty good scoring load that game. Just everything going exactly the opposite direction of what I'm needing it to do. Everything going absolutely wrong. That's just, I can't do anything about it. The Devin Booker play, obviously that game was sitting at a 1.5 or 2.5 point spread. They just blew him out. And, Tim Hardaway Jr. just hit a bunch of threes. And that was the opposite of what we needed him to do against a defense that doesn't give up a lot of threes. They look like bad beats, or bad bets, I guess, but the numbers were there. Again, I'm always just gonna go with the numbers. If I just continue losing because of that, I don't know what else I can really do. I don't know how much more I can switch up. I'm just gonna go with the numbers, and they look good to me, and that's just what I'm gonna continue to do. And so let's get to the picks today. We've got 3 today, so let's get it. Real quick, if you guys are new to Underdog Fantasy, in the link down in the description below, I have a link that takes you straight to the App Store where you can download Underdog Fantasy, because you're going to want to hop in on the action this year. They have added a whole bunch of new features to Underdog Fantasy this year, starting with the brand new insurance feature, okay? This insurance feature is a new thing that has been super requested for the fans and the customers of Underdog Fantasy. Essentially, all you do is you click insurance right here. And if you can see right there, all you have to do is hit 4 of these picks to win, but the value does drop down. So if you turn off the insurance, you do a $10 bet, you obviously get $200. And if you turn on the insurance feature, it drops down a multiplier down to 10. But if you miss one of these picks, say, Jameis Winston gets hurt or something, he doesn't end up throwing 2 touchdown passes. But everybody else hits like Lamar, Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry, and Justin Jefferson. All these guys hit. You still hit the slip. You just get it for $100. Just goes down a multiplier, which is a huge feature a lot of people have been asking for, so they received it. Also, they have added second half lines now to games. Obviously, it is on. There is nothing up because there's no NFL second half games, but they have added NFL second half. So just like for the Thursday night game, I'll throw up that clip right here. Thursday night, they dropped all the second half lines for that Thursday night game between the Bills and the Rams. They've added a bunch of new features this year. They're trying to improve to get the app better for you guys. Also, when you sign up, if you use code TAKEMYSHOT, you'll get $100 match, up to $100 match and 100% deposit match on your first time deposit. So if you do that, you can deposit $50 to get an extra $50, $20 to get an extra $20. Whole lot of stuff coming with Underdog Fantasy this year. Make sure you sign up with code TAKEMYSHOT. Now let's get to today's bets. Okay, today's lock of the day will be coming from the Memphis-Orlando game at 6:10. We're going to rock with Reggie Jackson today, under 5.5 assists. Now, you guys know I hate playing Clippers players. I absolutely hate it because the Clippers are the deepest team in the NBA. They play the most guys on a minute-to-minute rotation in the entire NBA. They're just deep. They play a lot of guys. No one plays a super deep amount of minutes, so that's kind of what I'm banking on just a little bit in this one, okay? We're going to take the under 5.5 assists. Now, Paul George and Kawhi Leonard are good to go. As far as I know, everything, they even got lines to Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. And Underdog Fantasy does not put lines up for guys that are questionable. So if they're up on Underdog Fantasy, they're probably going to play. So with Paul George, he's played a couple of games this year with Paul George on the floor. He's only averaging 3.8 assists. He's played 17 games exactly, He's played 17 games exactly with Paul George this season. He's only averaging 3.8 assists. And he's only gone over 5.5 3 out of 17 games. So he is not getting anywhere close to hitting this line with Paul George on the floor with him. It makes a lot of sense. The ball does not need to be in his hand as often because he doesn't need to be the primary ball handler. Kawhi and Paul George are off the dribble guys and get their own shots. So he just doesn't need to have the ball in his hands so much. It makes sense that he's not going to get as many assists with those guys on the floor. Those guys also aren't Paul George and Kawhi Leonard aren't catch and shoot kind of guys. They're not guys that are going to spot up and shoot the ball. So it's not really adding that threat of getting more assists by putting them on the floor either for Reggie Jackson. Now, without Paul George in the lineup, Reggie Jackson's averaging 5.4 assists. So it makes a lot more sense, right? That without Paul George, he just needs to be that more of a facilitator, leader of the offense. You can even see it in his like usage as well. He's averaging 13 shots without Paul George. Goes all the way down to 9 shots with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard on the floor. So just not used as much. The Orlando does give up the 6th most assists to point guards, but again, Reggie Jackson not being the primary, he'll be the 3rd option most likely within this option, right? Paul George, Kawhi, and then Reggie Jackson. So it's just he's not going to get used as much. Is what I'm saying in this game. Also, since it's a 7.5 point spread, I expect them to boat race the Magic. Magic's primary sources of offense come from their bigs, and they're going to be guarded by Kawhi Leonard and Paul George tonight. So I think it's going to be a rough night for the Magic. I think they're going to blow them out of the water, do the Clippers. So Reggie Jackson's going to lose minutes, and just he doesn't obviously get as many assists with Paul George on the floor. So give me Reggie Jackson today under 5.5 assists. All right, next up, we're going to go with Jaren Jackson Jr. today over 19.5 points versus the Oklahoma City Thunder. Pretty good play, pretty good matchup for him today. He's played 8 games this season since he's come back from his injury. He's hit the over 19.5 points in 6 out of 8 of those games, having some really good scoring games. But here's the thing I really dislike about Jaren Jackson Jr. Same case last year. It's not just because he's coming back from injury. He doesn't get minutes. Like last year, he averaged like 25 minutes a game as a starter. They play him like the front 5 of each quarter, and then he plays a little bit at the end of the second half and a little bit at the end of the game. I hate the way that they do the rotational minutes for Jaren Jackson Jr. He just doesn't get time. Like he barely touches 30 minutes a game sometimes, and that's like pushing it. And I hate that because he's a starter and he really isn't on the floor for that long. So in the last matchup, he did play them earlier this season. He did have 25 and 12, I believe, he had 12 boards as well in that game. Shot 8 free throws, which makes a lot of sense. He's probably going to attack the basket a lot. He's going to get to the line. He's going to get a lot of layups. That's obviously the overwhelming weakness of the Thunder. So he should have a pretty good game inside tonight, should Jaren Jackson Jr. Expect this game to be close as well. Their last matchup was an 11-point win by Memphis. But Shea had a bad shooting night. And that's very, very rare for Shea to have bad shooting nights because he's not a guy that shoots shots. He attacks the basket. So Shea only had 16 in that game, and it was an 11-point game. If Shea gets anywhere close to his average, puts up 25 to 30 points, this game will be much closer. So I expect this game to be a lot closer than it was last time, which just means Jaren Jackson Jr. is going to have more chances to be on the floor, more chances to get a bucket. So as long as he can continue to dominate inside like he did last time, I feel like Jaren Jackson Jr. will be a great play today. So give me JJJ over 19.5 points today as our second play of the day. Okay, and our last play of the day, got 2 guys that I kind of had up in the air that I both really wanted to play. Wizards are without Bradley Beal tonight, so I really want to play Kyle Kuzma. He's been playing pretty well when he's been asked to be more of a number 1 option this season. So I looked towards playing Kuzma's points, and then I decided to end up going with a Phoenix-Boston matchup tonight, one of the better games of the night. So I decided to play a prop from that game. So I'm going to go with Mikal Bridges tonight, under 20.5 points and rebounds. Now, I think his primary matchup will bounce back and forth between Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. So I feel like he's going to be a guy that's going to be guarding on ball a bunch this game. So he's going to be exhausted from the defensive effort he's having to put in on 2 of the league's best scorers, both on defense with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. So I don't think he'll have very many chances at rebounds, right? Because most of those shots, you'd probably have to say, without me looking directly at the numbers, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum probably take about half of the Celtics shots with the 2 of them combined. So that's half the opportunities of rebounds he's probably not going to get because he's going to be guarding those guys face up on the perimeter. So I'm liking the chances for him to not really get that many chances of rebounds. And like I said, because he's going to be so exhausted defensively, don't look for him to really get that many shots offensively, right? He's going to hit a couple threes. He'll get a couple fast break layups, off some steals or something like that. But he's got to get all the way to 21.5, and 21 points and rebounds. He'll obviously maybe get a handful there, maybe 2 or 3 rebounds, but I really just don't think he'll get the points production out of this. And last year in both of his matchups, he didn't hit in either of those games. He had 10 points and 4 rebounds in their first matchup of the year, and then their second matchup of the year, he had 14 points and 3 rebounds. So came up short in both of those games of 21, which is what we're looking at him to not get to tonight. It should be a good game between these 2 teams. No, I'm not even going to say it. I'm not even going to say it should be a good game because every time I say it's going to be a good game, it ends up being a blowout. So one of the better matchups it should be of the night between the Suns and the Celtics. We're going to take Mikal Bridges under 20.5 points and rebounds as our third play of the day today, guys. All right, so with that being said, boys, let's go ahead and review the perfect 3 stuff. The lock of the day is Reggie Jackson under 5.5 assists versus the Orlando Magic. Then give me Jaren Jackson Jr. over 19.5 points. And our last play of the day from the last game of the night, if I'm not mistaken, that's probably the last game of the night. Give me Mikal Bridges under 20.5 points and rebounds with a tough defensive matchup tonight as our perfect 3 slip today. Okay, boys, so with that being said, got great picks today. That's going to wrap up today's video. Got good numbers to back up great picks today. Jaren Jackson Jr. should dominate the Thunder inside because that's his strength. He's good for about a 3 or 2 each game too. That's his strength. He should dominate inside. Thunder obviously really struggle inside. He's going to be one of the biggest guys on the floor. Should have a good night. Should Jaren Jackson Jr. Even against good matchups this year, or bad defensive matchups this year, he's been putting up good points. Reggie Jackson, he is 2 assists under what he needs to get today on the average with Paul George. He's only gone over 3 out of 17 games with Paul George on the floor. If he goes over, he's gonna get like 9 assists tonight. Just watch. I am kind of turning into a fade god right now. I haven't got a pick right in like the last 3 days. And then the last play, Mikal Bridges. I mean, he should be exhausted defensively from guarding those guys all night. So I love the place. I'm gonna go with him, stick with him. The numbers are there. I'm gonna always play the numbers. And thank you guys. I've had a lot of people in the course of this tough stretch tell me that they're going to stick with me no matter what. So that means a lot to you, or a lot to me that people are telling me that. I've actually gotten a lot more love than hate, honestly, the last couple of days that I've been struggling a little bit. So thank you guys for the people that have been saying that. It means a lot to me. It's tough, especially when you get into a tough stretch like this where you're making good picks or just not playing out the way they should be. So thank you guys for that. You guys are the best, and I will catch you tomorrow. Peace.